Nicola Hill joins me now from London with more on this. And Nicola, when I heard about this story, I did have a little bit of a panic because I live with 2 cats. So I'm very concerned about the possibility of potentially passing on coronavirus to my pets. I know that cats and dogs have been infected with earlier variants of the coronavirus, but my understanding is that the symptoms were fairly mild. So how worried should pet owners be about pets becoming infected with the B.1.1.7 variant? And what more can we do to protect our furry family members?
Yeah, I can understand your concern, Rachel. I have to say I'm exactly the same with the cat I live with here. And I went for a walk with a friend at the weekend who has a little puppy. And when I was telling her about this information, she was slightly worried. But as Dr. Ferguson said, don't panic. He doesn't think this is incredibly common. In America, the Centre for Disease Control said there's been fewer than 100 cases of animals being infected with COVID-19 over the past year. So for the most part, it doesn't seem to be a major problem. Dr. Ferguson runs a referral centre where pets with heart problems and major issues are sent to him. And it was because he suddenly realised that the numbers of those with heart problems had increased dramatically that he did think, what's going on here? So he did this study. He sent these samples to these specialist virologists at Montpellier University who developed an antibody test for this variant of the coronavirus in animals, and that was what indicated the fact that yes, they had been infected with this new variant, and they were unlucky because they became very ill. But what should we do? I mean, the main advice we're being given is if we have any symptoms of COVID-19 to isolate and to protect our pets. You know, don't stroke them. When you feed them, wear a mask and make sure you don't cough or sneeze over them. Basically treat them like you treat any other member of the family. So the advice also says try and keep them indoors. Well, I don't know about your cats, Rachel, but I can tell you my cat, there's no way he's going to stay in this house. He thinks my neighbours either side are his second and third home. So that actually is quite difficult. But obviously if you've got dogs, then you can make sure that you can keep them on a lead and keep them away from people if you're concerned about catching this. But as I say, he does say this is rare. But Dr. Ferguson is asking vets who see animals with heart problems to then find out if their carers, their owners, have had COVID-19 to see if this is a bigger problem than we first see.
So even though it is rare, what kind of treatment options are there for pets that do contract coronavirus? And also, how do you know when to take your pet to the vet? Because in your story, it says that these cases can come on quite acutely. So what are some of the symptoms that we can look out for to make sure it doesn't become serious before we do take them to the vet?
Yeah, it was interesting that he did say to me that a couple of the animals actually fainted, and this was because of the fluid in the chest cavity meant they couldn't breathe properly. So yeah, if your animal collapses, then obviously you're going to be straight to the vet. It's the lethargy, and it's if they lose their appetite very, very quickly. Now we know sometimes, you know, animals tend to sort of go off their food for a day or two. That often is a sign that they're poorly, but they recover. With the normal, if I say the normal COVID-19, with the original variant, the animals that have had that, for the most part, have had very mild versions. They might have been off their food in a little week for a day or two, but they've been okay. It's if they have more severe symptoms, like this breathlessness, they're not able to breathe properly, and that's to do with the problems with the heart, or they're incredibly lethargy very, very quickly, and they really have gone off the food, then yes, you know, go contact your vet straight away, and the vet will investigate further. And obviously, if it's a heart problem, they'll take it further. But basically, if you've got COVID-19, you know, protect your pet as you would protect other members of the family. And one thing that I saw, interestingly, that the CDC is telling people to make sure, don't start wiping them with antiseptic wipes, their fur and stuff like we might use on our hands, because that's not actually for animals.
Yeah, I can imagine that would lead to even more serious health concerns as well. Nicola, if humans can infect pets with coronavirus, can it go the other way? Can our pets infect humans with coronavirus?
Yeah, I think you and I discussed this at the beginning of the pandemic, Rachel, last year, because there was a fear, particularly when people thought it was mainly spread by what's called fomite transmission, which is from surfaces. So there was a fear that if somebody stroked a pet and then somebody else stroked it, was that going to spread the virus? That hasn't happened. There's been no studies, no information so far of pets to humans at all. And this is because we now know it is predominantly an airborne virus, and that's how you catch it. So that's not the case. Interestingly, a very small study did show that cats can spread it to other cats. That's a tiny study. Obviously, more research is being done in this area, but the cats weren't particularly sick because of it. So we do think that cats have a strong immune system against the virus, and there are now trials about whether they might need to use that to create vaccines for animals, but that's very much in the future, as is everything with the coronavirus.
All right, yeah. Nicola Hill in London, thank you for that.